Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's make a reverse dyed rainbow shirt. This one is a long sleeve shirt and, spoiler alert, I think it kind of ends up looking like chalk. At least the dye part. I'm starting with a black long sleeve George brand shirt that's 100% cotton that I purchased from Walmart. It's in the men's section and they have these in a variety of colors. They're pretty soft, and I like to use them during the fall and winter season for reverse dyes. I think they dye up really nicely. They normally have white ones too, which I like to use for just regular dyeing. I have the shirt turned inside out, and I'm going to do a random sinew line design. So I'm going to grab some areas of the shirt where I'd like to put a sinew line, use the sinew, wrap it around really tightly until it locks down on itself, and then move on to another area. This is going to give a little bit of design to the shirt without making the shirt overly busy, like if I would have done a geode design where I had a whole bunch of lines on the shirt or a whole bunch of geodes on the shirt. It's a more free-form design. For the color removal process, I'm going to use a product called Out White Bright Laundry Whitener, and I purchased mine from Walmart on the laundry aisle. It's normally by the bleach products, even though it's not a bleach product, and it won't damage your fabric the way bleach will. If you can't find any at your local store, I have a link down below in the description for this video for where you can purchase some from Amazon. I'm using this product outside, and I'm going to liberally sprinkle it over the top of my items, which I've placed inside of a plastic tub or tote. I'm going to remove the color from quite a few items all at the same time. And as I am using this product, I'm wearing my respirator so that I don't inhale any of that powder that you see puffing up or dusting up as I'm applying it to the shirts. I also don't want to inhale any of the fumes from the Out White Bright solution. It does have a smell, so that's the reason why I'm using it outside. After I have the powder on the shirts, I'm going to go ahead and pour a pot of boiling hot water over the top. And as you can see, the minute that hot water hits the Out White Bright powder, it starts to foam and immediately remove the color from the items. It works really quickly. Since I have so many items in this container, the one pot of boiling hot water didn't cover my items. I like for them to be fully submerged or almost fully submerged in the Out White Bright solution. So I went ahead and boiled 2 pots of water, and I'm going to add the second pot of boiling hot water to the top, and then I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit more Out White Bright powder in a couple areas. I'm also going to use a pair of metal tongs which I purchased from the Dollar Tree dollar store to move the items around in the Out White Bright solution. I want to make sure that all the items get well saturated with the solution and that the items on top get fully submerged down in the Out White Bright solution. I'm going to go ahead and speed the video up, but after I added the second pot of boiling hot water to the top of the items, I went ahead and left them in this solution for about 15 minutes. If you'll notice, I have one item at the very top of the container or tub that is not reversing very well. That is a purple buffalo hoodie from Costco, and I've already got the video out for that one if you'd like to watch it. It did lighten it a little bit, but I think that the hoodie just had too much blue, that the Out White Bright solution didn't remove a whole lot of the color. If you're not familiar with that, sometimes when you try to use Out White Bright on blue items, I've used royal blue, lighter blues, teals. There's something about the blue color that doesn't particularly work with the Out White Bright. It may lighten the item, and strangely, I've even had it remove part of the color and then the color come back after the item has been washed. So keep that in mind whenever you're choosing items that you'd like to reverse dye. Sometimes the blues don't work quite as well as other colors. With the exception of navy blue, I've never had any issues with navy blue. That tends to work really well with the Out White Bright solution. Okay, so after the 15 minutes were up, I took all the items to my utility sink and gave them a quick rinse in cold water. Then I placed them into my washing machine and I washed them. I think I used either a hot or a warm cycle. It doesn't really matter. You can use any water temperature you like, along with a little bit of Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent. And I left all these items tied throughout this whole entire process. So I threw them into the washing machine while they were still tied. And then when they came out of my washing machine, I soaked them in a soda ash solution like normal, and then spun them out of my Panda spin dryer. Then for this particular shirt, I did put it aside and allow it to dry out completely, but you don't necessarily need to. The fold is not that thick. You can go ahead and apply the dye while it's still damp. I'm going to use rainbow colors on this shirt, but I'm not going to use the traditional rainbow. I've been working on kind of giving a lighter, more watercolor feel to some shirts. So I'm going to apply the dye over the top of the ice for this one. I've placed my shirt down inside of a colander, and I have the colander stretched over the top of a plastic container. This red plastic container is pretty deep, and so my colander is not sitting down on the bottom of the container, so it will not be processing down inside of the muck. If you're not familiar with that term, muck is a term used to describe the melting ice that's mixed with the dye. I'm going to add the ice over the top of the shirt, and I'm going to fill this colander up pretty full with ice. I want to make sure I have plenty of liquid to force the dye down through the shirt. Once I have the ice on top, I'm going to apply the dye in stripes across the ice. And since I'm using 7 colors, I'm going to start with my middle color just so that it's a little easier for me to space the dye out across the ice. So let me give you the colors that I'm using in order of the rainbow. I'm using Red Wine from Dharma Trading Company, Fireball from Happy Cat Tie-Dye, Marigold and Dark Green from Dharma Trading Company, Faded Denim from Dharma, and I believe that is a special order color. You can still purchase it from Dharma, but you would have to buy a large quantity, or I have a link down below in the description for this video to a Facebook group called Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace, where people purchase those special order colors and sell them in smaller quantities. You can probably find some there. Then I'm using Velvet Orchid from Dye Spin and Dark Cherry from Dye Spin. So it's the rainbow, but it's got a little bit darker vibe to it. So it's not quite as bright as the traditional rainbow that you associate with tie-dye. Once I've applied all the dye to the top of the ice, I'm going to add a little bit of additional dry soda ash to the top and then place this container aside and allow the ice to melt. After the ice melted, I left the shirt for about 48 hours before I rinsed it. To rinse the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I began rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I untied the shirt and warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of continuing to rinse for a long time, I decided to soak my shirt by running some really hot water in my utility sink, adding a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and just allowing the shirt to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out, and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt, along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent, into my washing machine, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. If you'd like a little bit more information about my rinsing process, or maybe some of the science behind why I rinse the way I rinse, I have a blog post going into detail about this out on my website, and I have a link to my website down below this video in the description. Okay, so now that the shirt has been washed, dried, and ironed, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? Do you see what I mean about it looks kind of like chalk? I think that the taupe showing through some of the colors are what give it that feel. But I think it looks cool. It's not your traditional rainbow, and the colors aren't traditional either. So I think that taupe color showing through some of the colors really gives it an interesting look. I was a little bit surprised how much of the purple and kind of pink type color showed up, the Velvet Orchid and the Dark Cherry. I guess when I placed my shirt down inside of my colander, I didn't have it spaced out very well because there's a whole lot more of those two colors than there are the other colors. I was also a little bit surprised too at how little of the dark green showed up on the shirt. I don't know why, but it almost seems to have disappeared. Along with the marigold. the kind of orangey yellow color that you're seeing is the Fireball from Happy Cat Tie-Dye. But even though those colors kind of disappeared, I still think the shirt looks cool. Just not exactly what I was expecting. And I definitely wasn't expecting the kind of chalk look to the shirt. I mean, I don't know a better description for this other than it looks kind of like chalk. I mean, because it's varied in intensity. I don't know. That's the vibe that I get. I do have quite a bit of the taupe showing through, but I don't mind that color. I kind of like that color paired with, reverse dyed shirts. So I don't mind that. This shirt was just a surprise to me though. I'll have to look into that dark green. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I don't know if it's too old or why it didn't really show up on this shirt. I really like the black lines with the rainbowish type colors as well. And strangely enough, the way the lines are on the shirt, it almost looks like I intentionally tied them going all across the shirt that way. And I didn't. I was going for a more random look, so I don't know what happened there. That's kind of funny, I think. Like I've said before, random isn't always so easy to get. It's a lot harder than you think to do random sometimes. But overall, I really like this shirt. I think it is very unique. Definitely doesn't look like what I was expecting it to, and I don't know how I'd ever replicate it. But I still think it ended up looking like a cool shirt. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it, and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.